Hello everyone. So we were talking about dimensions and associations. There is one thing that you really need to be careful about when you're associating dimensions to shapes. So if I were to come in and place a shape that's maybe multiple sided, and I'm going to close that element, I can dimension to the center of this object, but the association won't be held. So watch this. If I pick the dimension and I want to dimension from the center of the circle to the center of this shape, it'll find the geometric center of the shape, but it will not hold the geometric center of that shape. So watch, if I change the shape, notice that the center of that shape should have moved with the change of the shape, but it did not. So I can always select the end of that and then replace it at the center of that shape. But notice it is not associating with the center of that shape. Now, when it comes to circles, that's a different story. I can change the circle and I can move the circle, and notice that the center of a circle, it holds. But as a shape, it does not. Same thing happens if I were to use like a rectangle. So I'm going to place me a rectangle. I can snap to the center of that rectangle, but if I change that rectangle, it's not going to keep the snap. I think there might be a way that if you use constraints, you could probably get it to hold. And I think what I would have to do there possibly is if I want to get it to the center of a rectangle, is that I would want to, let's see if this works. I'm going to set the distance equal between here and there. Oops, I can't do it to a dimension. So apparently I can't do that. The only thing I could do then is maybe put a point and associate it to a point. So if I were to come back here in home and place a point, which is going to be here, and I place a point in here, and then I come back to my constraints, and I set this equal from here to here. Nope, that's not going to let me do it either. So how would I go between set equal distance? It's not going to let me do that either. So I guess I'm going to have to try to figure out some other way if I wanted it to be, if I wanted that dimension to be constrained to the center of a rectangle. But just be aware that when you place these dimensions, if you try to associate to a non-circular shape, if you go to the center, it's not going to hold. If you go to the end point, I believe it might. So let's try adjusting it then. Yeah, it can snap to an endpoint, but going to the center, it probably is not. So at that point, what I could do is I could take that dimension, and instead of, well, let's see, what do I got to do? I got to break this. So I'm going to remove that association. I'm going to say, instead of associating it to the uh, endpoint, maybe if I go to from the center of this circle to the midpoint, let's see, so to get to the midpoint, I can snap to key point, and from here I'm going to hit origin, and I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to hit divide by 2, and let's see if that holds. Nope, that did not hold. So let's see, what am I going to do then? I'm going to come in, I'm going to hit my key in browser, hit ky equals 2, and let's see if I can snap to the midpoint. And if that holds, there we go. So if you set your snap divisor, you can snap to a midpoint of a rectangular shape. Do not know if I could snap to a midpoint, though, of a multi-sided shape. That would probably be a little more difficult. But anyway, for the thing you need to be paying attention to is when you're placing dimensions, that's snapping to the center of a circle and snapping to the center of a shape get two different results with dimensions.